Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the official Nerd Talk channel. My name is Tyler, aka Mind of a Nerd, joined by my co-host AJ Reacts to, and we are back for another episode of Originals versus Remakes. Starting off the 2025 season. Can't believe it's already 2025.
Happy
It's
New Year.
crazy. Happy New Year, indeed. And today we're giving you guys an episode on the Wolfman in preparation for Lee Winnell's remake Wolfman, releasing later this month. Very excited about that. We already did a OVR covering his last remake for The Invisible Man, so I'm excited to do one in dedication to Wolfman. Hopefully that movie is a banger because it looks great. So without further ado, let's get into it, starting with the original Universal Monster classic, The Wolfman. So, The Wolfman was released in 1941, directed by George Wagner, and stars Claude Rains, Warren Willem, oh my god, what is his name? Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi is in this movie also, and tells the story of basically this man wandering through a town, and he goes on a date with somebody, and he gets bit by a wolf, and crazy things start happening to him. So I saw this movie for the first time yesterday. And for those who don't know, I talked about this in our Invisible Man OVR that I'm not a big fan of the Universal Monster movies at all. I'm a big fan of the Universal Monsters, but their movies to me are very boring, dated, and I don't like them. I don't. Frankenstein is cool. Invisible Man is god tier. That is what I think of when I think of Universal monsters. Creature from the Black Lagoon, I think, is terrible. Um, Dracula is okay. And so when I got to this one, I I'm gonna keep the short and sweet. I did not like this movie at all. I did not. It has the Universal monster feel to it. The score is amazing as it is in all of these movies. Um, and the concept is okay, but when I tell you this was the longest fucking hour of my life watching this movie because of how painfully boring this was. I didn't like this movie at all. I didn't. It was just insufferably boring to me. I feel like the whole time just nothing was happening. I just feel like the whole time it was just a bunch of meandering talking. And I get it. Before anyone says, oh, it was released in 1941. What did you want them to do? You could do so much with what you were given. Creature from the Black Lagoon is a terrible movie, but the Creature from the Black Lagoon is on screen a lot of that movie. There's no reason why the Wolfman is in this movie for like 10 seconds, pretty much. There's no excuse. Frankenstein is a large presence in Frankenstein. The Invisible Man is the epitome of maximizing your resources. That other than like 15 minutes of that movie is just nonstop. So I don't understand why with the Wolfman they took this approach of like, oh yeah, we're gonna have it be like character based and slow and methodical, and he's going through his mind. No, no, okay, that's stupid. I didn't like this movie at all. I'm just nothing really impressed me about the Wolfman effects are cool. The practical makeup, that's cool. That's always gonna be the highlight of these Universal monster movies, but in a nutshell, I didn't really like this movie, and this is the exact reason why I don't like these movies, the Universal monster movies. I don't like them. AJ, what are your thoughts on the original Wolfman?
So piggybacking off of, your review, I didn't hate this movie, but I was very disappointed with it. With the things that I enjoyed, I liked the camera work. The lighting was really good. When they showed the Wolfman, I enjoyed the design, the makeup, everything like that. That was impressive to me. When it comes down to the story, I feel like there are so many things that they could have done better. I do like the idea of having Larry, like, you seeing Larry's inner turmoil becoming the Wolfman and like dealing with that, internally. Like, but they didn't even really hone in on that. A lot of it was, you know, the townspeople like talking about, like, oh, the Wolfman is out here. He's coming. Like, what do we do? Like, it was a lot of that, and like if they would have replaced that with actually showing the Wolfman and like what he's actually doing, and like honing in on Larry's, mindset and turmoil even more, I think it could have been a lot better. The score was great though. Um, and that's pretty much all I had to say about it. Like, it was disappointing. Like, I wish it was a lot more interesting than it was, but I didn't hate it. Will I return to it? Probably, but it's gonna be a long time.
It got to the point where I had to make my own amusement. There's a part where, well, there's two parts actually, where somebody beats a wolfman or werewolf with a
With a
stick,
stick,
and
with the
you,
cane.
you guys know that I love Friday the 13th. So when he beat that wolf repeatedly, numerous times, what I was thinking of. Die! Die!
Die,
Die! Tommy! Immediately the movie became better. I don't know.
die.
That's what I want this movie to die. Anyway, moving on to the Wolfman remake titled The Wolfman, not The Wolf Man. The Wolfman. So, The
Wolfman.
Wolfman was released in 2010, directed by Joe Johnson. He directed The Rocketeer, directed Captain America: The First Avenger, which is interesting that he also directed the Nutcracker, whatever the Four Realms, whatever that
Oh,
was. Directed Yo movie Jurassic Park 3.
oh, okay.
And
Cool.
it tells the story of, how do I explain this? So basically, somebody's father dies, and this guy is called to find out like why, basically in a nutshell. And then there's a werewolf arise taking people out, and then he gets bitten, and then he's becoming like the town starts hunting him. So this was also a first time watch for me. I had always had it in my mind that this movie was not great. um it was just the public notion that this movie wasn't great, and it's a 2010 Universal Monsters remake that doesn't really sound like it's gonna be all that great. So walking into this, I didn't have high expectations. I did have the high expectation of it being better than the original, because I was like, bro, the bar is so low, bro. At this point, just give me a bunch of stupid nonsense and I'll be entertained. Asking you shall receive. um, this movie is exactly that, stupid nonsense, and I enjoyed it for that. Um, is this very much a surface level version of the Wolfman? Absolutely. But I actually do think that it does things that help it stand out and make it not dreadfully boring. Um, for one, I think the cast here does pretty well. You got Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, Emily Blunt, Hugo Weaving. Very stacked cast for a
Stacked,
Universal Monster
stacked
movie.
cast.
Um, I don't love Benicio del Toro in this movie. He's mostly okay, but there's some lines where I'm like, "Ugh, okay."
Mm.
Anthony Hopkins is really good. Emily
As
Blunt is
as always.
well, not always. The Last Night Exists. I'm sorry, he's the best part of that movie, but he's not good in it. Emily Blunt is good in this movie. I wish she had more to do, but she is always very good. Hugo Weaving is great. He was probably my favorite part of this movie. He is a great antagonist for the Wolfman. Um, the way it's shot is pretty cool. It's got like a film green look to it, and I think that was pretty neat. The score was pretty good. Right off the bat, the score was booming from the Universal logo. I had to turn my TV all the way down. I was like, dang. Um, the look of the Wolfman, I actually really like. I like how he's really big and
Jacked.
muscular.
Huge.
And the practical look to him, I really liked. Like it looks pretty creepy, and there was actually more of it than I thought there was gonna be. I'm not gonna lie, especially in the third act.
Mhm.
That whole fight was pretty practical.
Mm.
I was surprised by that because of the negative thing in this movie. Um, the kills in this movie, god tier. They're awesome. There were several kills in this movie that have my jaw on the floor. There's one where he swipes someone's head and it goes flying. I was like, then there's another one where like the Wolfman grabs this dude from under his jaw and like pulls him. I was like,
Mhm.
damn. I was like, damn. And there's like several kills where he like swipes at people's faces and body parts and they just like rip off. I was like, ugh. There's a part where he rips off somebody's arm and the arm just goes like flying. I was like, ugh. The kills are very good. The story that they go for here, I think, is interesting, and there's actually like kind of a mystery aspect to it, and the twist to the mystery I thought was pretty neat. And the third act I liked. I thought it was a fun third act. Does it struggle from pacing? Yeah. I do think the movie's a little too long. It's almost like 2 hours, and it didn't really need to be. I think a lot of it is padding, and there's some things that I wish were developed, but I thought it was okay. It was okay, It didn't offend me, and am I simpleton when it comes to like violence and blood? Yeah, sure. You know, I'll wholeheartedly admit it, and that's why I like the movie. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the remake?
So this is also a first time watch for me, and I thought it was decent. I was expecting it to be like really not good at all, and I
Me too.
actually watched the remake before I watched the original. And I don't know if I mentioned that was the first time for me watching the original as well. So I watched them basically back to back, and remake first. Um, the acting was pretty solid across the board, although I feel like a lot of this movie, the characters were just kind of going through the motions of the Wolfman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't feel like a strong connection with like pretty much anybody here. And like the relationship between I can't remember their names, but Benicio del Toro, that's Lawrence, and Emily Blunt's character. There was supposed to be a romance there, and it was supposed to be heavy hitting, and I could tell that it was supposed to be a heavy hitting, like some heavy hitting, you know, romance there, and I didn't feel that chemistry. I didn't feel that chemistry between the two. And when it came down to it, it just kind of fizzled out, in my opinion. Um, the gore and violence, man. I started watching this movie, and I fully thought it was PG-13. And when like the attacks start happening, I had to look it up. I was like, "What is this actually rated, bro? Like, am I watching the unrated version?" No, it's rated R. I did not realize that until I started seeing the kills. Um, it's brutal, bro.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier, like ripping people's limbs, and like that whole scene where he would like got his claws in the dude's face, like that was insane. So that part was entertaining, but I do wish they would have honed in more on um like a lot of the turmoil that Lawrence was going through. Even though they tried, there were a lot of scenes where they were showing his turmoil and things like that, but like I said, it felt like it was just kind of going through the motions. It didn't really click with me fully. Um, but all in all, it wasn't horrible. Like I was just like I said, I was expecting it to be like bad. But it wasn't horrible. This is also set. We'll talk about this more, but this is also set in the 1800s, and I love a period piece. If you know me, I really enjoy period pieces, and things that are set in a different era. Like back in the day and things like that. So I did enjoy that aspect. There's a lot of like forest scenes, which I really liked. That it kind of gave me Sleepy Hollow vibes. Also, Sweeney Todd. it kind of gave me Sweeney Todd vibes from
Hmm.
both Tim Burton films, but it just kind of gave me that feeling and like of eeriness. Those are two things that I really enjoyed about this film. It kind of had like a cold feeling. It was like a blue filter or whatever like that, and it kind of made it feel cold, and I liked that. So
Moving on to the similarities between the two, and the mainly the Wolfman creature is the same. And the characters are the same. I don't know if the setting is the same. But I know the movies take no, never mind. Um, I'm pretty sure that the set like it looks the same kind of. The dogs can like detect the werewolves in both
mhm.
movies. That's a thing that is the same. But yeah, other than that, they're pretty different. So let's move on to those. So right off the bat, the plots to the movies are very different to an extent. The setup is kind of the same, kind of not, where you have these two people that they both get bit, but it is different people that get bit. So in the original, I gotta look at who it is in the original. Putting it even the setup is different. So in the original, the setup is different to where he's like on a date with this girl, and they're just walking through and the woods. The werewolf attacks him. Is so goofy because he jumps on him. He's like, "Ow! Get off of me!" He just beats that. He gets bait. He's like, "Ow!" And then he beats him to death. It's so goofy. John Talbot in the original is different than the remake. So in the remake, he's the father to Benicio del
Lawrence,
Toro,
yeah,
Lawrence,
Lawrence.
and it's a fine change, and I get why they change it because they have to do that for the twist. But it's like Lawrence is the same character. Lawrence is essentially just John from the original, but he's his son. It's weird. It's like if you're gonna make that change, at least make him act different. He's kind of the same person, to be honest. Like he acts the exact same to me, minus like trying to get with people. But he's already with Emily Blunt, so he doesn't need to try. um, I feel like the Wolfmen, the werewolves, are different from the two different versions. The one in the original kind of just like walks around and he kind of has like a little furry face.
Kind of cute.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I feel like he's like a lot more timid in the original. Like he's not like just savage, like going around killing everybody that he sees, basically. Um,
Yeah.
but in the remake, that's basically how he is. He doesn't really have like his mind, really. Um,
Yeah, in the remake, if you in his way, rip Bozo. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
In the remake, he's very hulking, and he runs on his hind legs, but then he also goes on his all fours too, which I thought
Mhm,
was interesting.
yeah.
Um, the attire is also kind of different. He's well, I guess both times he kind of breaks out in a suit, but like you don't really see it in the original. In the remake, you see like he has like the suit remains from when he hulked up or wolfed out, whatever.
Wolfed out.
Um, the stories here are very different. So in the original, it's a case of like he gets bit and you kind of slowly see him turning, but the town is also like, oh, there's a werewolf on the loose. We gotta figure out how to stop it. Um, in the remake, he gets bit and we see him, murdering people and stuff. And they kind of take a different route to where the town actually like they capture him a couple times and they're trying to get kill him. And then there's also a plot twist with Anthony Hopkins' character to where he was the one, like he is a werewolf
Hmm.
and he killed Lawrence's mother,
Hmm.
which I thought was a neat twist. I was like, oh, okay. Do I think that they added that just so they could have a big
Like,
action
oh,
spectacle fight at the end?
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, it's entertaining. I liked it. Um and that is the other twist, is that, like, you know, there is another wolf in the remake, and
Mhm.
so, they, like I said, they probably just added that so that way they could, have a big, I'd say CGI fight, but it's not a CGI fight. It is a practical fight. So, kudos to them.
Transformation was CGI.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that yet. Um, So one major difference is that this is a modern 2010 remake. So you know what that means. We got CGI, baby. Um, CGI in this movie is absolutely deplorable. There's no way around that. There are some times when it's cool. Um, but even in the dark, sometimes that there's CGI blood that doesn't look very good. Um, and then when they show the transformation in the laboratory or prison, wherever, I don't know who in their right mind was like, "Yo, we got CGI budget for this. Let's give them a transformation. They gonna remember, baby. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
we
yeah, we
remember.
gonna remember it. All right." It's really bad. It's really bad.
I feel like in the beginning with the first transformation, they tried to not show it as much, like kind of show it in the shadows, like kind of quick cuts here like that. So it was there, but it wasn't as like prominent, and you didn't notice it as much. But like by the end of the movie, like that last transformation with Anthony Hopkins, yeah, it wasn't great. But
Yeah,
oh,
even
another difference I wanted to say was they're set in different times. So I feel like in the original, it was like the modern times at that time. It was
mhm.
the 1941. Um, and then the 2010s one is like based in the 1800s. So that makes like the field like drastically different, and
I
like the
actually
townspeople.
prefer that, to
Yeah,
be honest.
I thought it was really good. And I don't even know what time period the new one is set in. I feel like it's modern, but
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, I think it's modern. Yeah.
oh, okay. So yeah, like that's gonna be a huge change as well. Just having all these movies being set in different times. So but yeah, that was a huge thing. And like I said, I love a period piece. So I was just eating all that up.
The fact that there are kills in this remake is a difference, because there's really like two in the original, and
Yeah.
you don't even see them. This movie, like I said, bro.
You see that? Well, in the original, you see the gravedigger, but it's just like he just like goes up to him and he guy falls down and it's like, oh, he's dead. It's 1941, bro. It's 1941. So
No, bro, because
it's
you
the
haven't
1941.
seen you haven't seen The Bride of Frankenstein. There's a kill in the beginning of The Bride of Frankenstein where Frankenstein murders somebody, and it is hilarious. It's so good. That is what I wanted from this movie.
Mhm.
But side note, I don't like the Bride of Frankenstein movie. I just remember that because it's hilarious. Um, but yeah, the kills in the remake, like I said, they're amazing. Like if you could imagine a werewolf doing it in this movie, you probably did it, and then some. Like
I do think
there's
it helped that it was rated R,
oh
because they could have
yeah,
easily done PG-13. I feel like around that time they were doing a lot of PG-13, remakes and stuff like that. But I think the R rating definitely helped.
there's like a part where like he's like captured. He breaks out in the prison, and he just demolishes everybody, and I loved it. It was awesome. I think that's pretty much it for the differences. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. Like I said, all the ones that I could think of.
Moving on to what the definitive version is, and no question, the definitive version for me is the remake. This is easily the movie's not even that great, but this is easily the version of this movie that I would prefer to sit down and watch and consume, because it's more engaging, it's more entertaining, and realistically, they had a higher budget, they could do more. That's just the way the dominoes fell. I don't like the original really at all, and I'm running out of reasons why I still have this Universal Monster set because I bought the 4K for the Invisible Man. So
Bro, shoot that my way, bro.
I'm
Shoot that.
struggling. I'm struggling. AJ, what's your definitive version?
So I feel like personally there was things to admire with both films. I was a lot more disappointed in the original because I'm a I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the Universal monster movies that I've seen, but I would say that I like them, and I really enjoy Invisible Man, and Dracula is cool. Just the ones that I've seen are cool. So with this movie, I had some expectations. They were let down, but I didn't absolutely hate it. With the remake, I had very low expectations, and they exceeded my expectations slightly. So I have these at the same score for different reasons, but I'm gonna have to go remake because, like you said, there was a lot of things that they could do and did do with that film, and I love a period piece. I love when they run it back to the 1800s or ancient times or whatever. So um, yeah, the remake.
All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Originals versus Remake. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for all notifications for future Nerd Talk live streams and videos. The next episode of Originals versus Remakes will be arriving in March. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, once again, please leave a like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode of Originals versus Remakes, everybody.